Thank you. So we'll call the meeting to order. So we have one member attending remotely. So Julia, if you could tell us your name, where you are, and why you're remote, and if anybody's with you.
Julia Killily. I'm in Avon, Connecticut, in an office by myself. I'm attending remotely because I am out of town.
Okay. Great, thank you. All right, so first, before we get into the agenda, Kim had asked if we could move the superintendent search, superintendent report, which is number 6, and also you'll see it's done differently this month. We'll try something a little new. That all the admin reports are under that. So the superintendent report, he asked if we could move it up from number 6 to above, right before number 5, which is new board business. So discussion on that. You just need consensus to move that. Well, what's the rationale for that? I'm just interested.
Because I have some things I think that are important here before we get into new board business.
Okay. All right, so what do you?
If it's going to inform any decisions we may make, then.
Okay.
I'm good.
Okay.
I'm just trying to follow where it's supposed to go. So,
So it goes from
sorry.
From there
From here
up to right after citizen comments. So
Okay.
right there.
All right, perfect.
Okay. Sure. Julia, did you hear that?
Yep, I'm good with that. Thank you.
Alrighty, cool. So we'll do that. So next up is review the manifest. Did anybody have any questions on? Ooh, sorry. Okay, that wasn't you though. Okay. Did anybody have any questions on the manifest?
No.
Email out. Okay, and I think we've all signed it already. We were very efficient, so awesome. All right, then just the minutes. So I know we usually take them as a group, but since we had somewhere, some people were here and some people weren't, so we have abstentions. So maybe we just do them quickly, separately. Yeah, one at a time.
All right, I'll make a motion to accept the public minutes of January 10th.
I'll second. Okay, any questions or?
I have one correction.
Okay.
Bear with me. First page, budget committee, that's a budget committee one, yeah. Budget committee attending and then budget committee excused. Janice Nichols is listed in both, and I believe she was not at that meeting.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I don't think she was
I
either.
don't think she was, January 10th.
Okay. Any other corrections to the minutes of January 10th? Okay, so all those in favor of approving the public minutes of January 10th as amended, say aye.
Aye.
Julia?
I wasn't there, so I think I probably need to abstain.
Yep. Good. Thank you. All right, then just need a motion to accept the public and non-public minutes of January 12th.
I'll make that motion.
A second.
Okay, any discussion on
Aye.
those?
Have one correction on the public minutes.
Mhm.
On page 4. Let's see, Gina moved to approve those policies. I believe that's as a first reading, not a final.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I have that.
So that's as a first reading.
Okay, first. Anybody have anything else? I have on page 3, and I listened to the meeting today just to double check my notes. So, at the top where April moved to end the trial period, this is on the cell phone policy, end of the trial period on 1/27/23. And we went back and forth. She kept calling it February 27th, if you remember. That's okay. So that's how I remembered it. I was like, there was a date in there. So April moved to end the trial period on 1/27/23 to allow cell phones during lunch going forward from 1/28/23. So that was the motion. So she had those dates in there.
Dates were in the motion.
Yeah. Yeah, well, she said it and then said, I'll make the
kept
motion since
messing
I
it
just said it. So yeah. Does anybody have anything else for January 12th? All right, so then just all those in favor of approving the public and non-public minutes of January 12th as amended, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Julia?
Aye.
Thank you. And then I need a motion to accept the public minutes of January 19th.
I will make that motion.
Second.
Any discussion or corrections to those? No? All right, so all those in favor of approving the public minutes of January 19th, say aye.
Aye.
And I'm sorry, I abstain. Julia?
Abstain.
Yeah, Julia abstains. Thank you. All right, so citizen comments. Donna's a citizen on there.
I'm all set, thank you.
Great, thank you, Donna. All right, so next up is superintendent's report.
Okay, well, thank you for indulging me and moving the agenda item up. As I prepared for tonight's meeting, I tried to focus on three big questions. How can I help use my knowledge and experience to best move this district forward during this interim period that I'm around here? The second is, how can we work as a collaborative team to improve teaching and learning, which should be our primary focus? And how can I best prepare this district for a permanent replacement, for a permanent superintendent, hopefully as of July 1. So tonight's agenda is one simple way that I can use my knowledge and experience to help move us forward. Hannah and I talked a little bit and we worked on the agenda for tonight's meeting. As a result, she mentioned the minor change in the structure of the administrative reports. The purpose of this small change is not small at all. It's to better reflect the important role of a superintendent as the district leader and the only employee of the board. Research and practice points to the conclusion that superintendent leadership does matter in a school district. That alignment and mutual trust that with the board and the superintendent is one of the common factors found in high achieving school districts. And it reinforces that the board communicates to the administration and staff with and through the superintendent to build upon this alignment and this focus. So I ask for your patience with this minor change. And please understand that this change is not intended to reduce or prevent communication. Rather, it's to reinforce a clear and unified vision moving forward. Maria is going to send a link tomorrow for the old teacher and me can't die. But basically, some reading for the board to look at, which it talks about the 8 characteristics of effective school boards and the superintendent's role in that function. So Maria's going to send that out to you tomorrow. It's about a 17-page report. So if you could take a look at that, I would certainly appreciate it. Going to summarize my report for you. And the first is in the area of visibility and engagement. I spent a lot of time trying to make the superintendent's role more visible and more engaged in the day-to-day activities of the school district. I believe firmly in the concept of management by walking around and seeing what's going on, talking with the administrators, talking with teachers, engaging in conversation with kids. I've worked really hard to try and do that over the first month of my time here. Based upon my day-to-day engagement, my impressions of the district at this point are generally very, very positive overall. Faculty and staff are engaged with our kids, focused on providing the necessary education and support activities. I'm really pleased with what I see over there. And the administration is working hard to ensure a safe, responsive, and productive environment. Overall, the student body has been respectful, kind, and friendly. I'm getting fist bumps and all of those good things. In fact, I just came from before this meeting, I came from the middle school basketball game, and it just gives you opportunities to engage with parents, which I think is very, very, very important. The second area is culture, climate, and safety. And the premise is that it's important for the school and the Hinsdale community to trust that our efforts to provide a safe and productive environment are solidly anchored in the law, best practice, and the best interests of young people in the school district. So I've identified some concerns in that area and have developed a strategy to begin to address that over the short term. I've worked very closely with Jody on identifying the resources to pay for these services that I think are essential to the school district. So these three focus areas are as follows. One is staff education and training. It's going to be very important for us to provide the necessary education and training to administrative staff addressing district practices, including investigation procedures, Title IX considerations, search and seizure practices following appropriate timelines, and all kinds of related issues. And concurrently provide the necessary education and training for faculty staff, underscoring their important role in providing a safe and productive school and a safe and productive working environment. Karen and I have developed a professional development activity for March 13th. I inadvertently said February 13th in my report, but this is for March 13th, which I can review with you later to talk about the specifics. But we've identified through Drummer and Woodsum, who will be providing that staff development for us on the 13th, that is going to cost approximately $12,000. And that will be money well spent, money that we can invest upfront and make sure that we have all of our district practices and so on in order. And Jody has given her blessing to that. So we intend to move forward with that. As I said, Attorney Megan Glynn from Drummer Woodsum will help us facilitate this day, as well as other presenters from DW and the New Hampshire Principals Academy will come down. So that's on the 13th. We have a full professional development day planned, and we're just putting the final details, on that. The second big area is to review our code of conduct, our disciplinary practices, and related concerns. I know that Holly had mentioned that you hadn't seen the student handbook or the code of conduct for a while. So this will provide us an opportunity to get that in order. I talked again, Drummer Woodsum is going to help us with that. And I just talked with Megan yesterday, and she is suggesting that she come down to our district for the day, review all the materials regarding, discipline practices, student handbook, code of conduct, kind of digest it, and then provide some recommendations to the superintendent as to how to move forward with that. That initial activity from Drummer Woodsum will cost about $5,000 to have her down here and really look at that in earnest. I asked her, name one school district who does it right. And she immediately said Oyster River. And I hadn't heard of Oyster River, but it gets us over by the University of New Hampshire. So that's somebody we want to reach out to, as well, just to make sure we do everything right and is anchored in best practices. So I'm excited about doing that. And if I can accomplish one thing, during this interim period, it will be this, to get this accomplished. The third major area that I want to focus on is parent-student community work. I'm not sure how we're gonna do that yet. We may want to use the board communication committee, but basically engage the greater Hinsdale community, parents who are involved with the school and people who are not involved with the school around issues of character, respect, responsibility, school community communication, ethical use of technology, internet safety. Certainly Title IX is something that we want to talk about. Community law enforcement, all of these kinds of topics, and we're just beginning to scratch the surface of what we want to do. And then it's going to be, how do we accomplish that over the short term? So I've been bothering Karen a lot about trying to come up with ideas about how we do that in general. So that covers the area of climate and school culture and safety. The third area that I've been thinking about and we've been talking about is the tuition exploratory committee. And I have some information from the New Hampshire School Board Association as to how to begin on this process, and some contacts for moving forward. But we need some direction from the board as to, you know, how you would like to structure that committee moving forward. The last big issue is the electronic communications policy, and I've thought about that a lot. I looked at what the New Hampshire School Board Association provides and did a little bit of research on my own, and crafted something that the board has tonight. But my message is that that is just something for you to review. What I would really like to see, and what I strongly recommend, is that the school board initiate a board policy committee with the initial task of looking at that electronic communications policy, as well as conducting other policy work as we move forward. And I think that will go a long way toward resolving some of the policy issues that we may have, and help with policy development in the long run. So I strongly urge and recommend that the school board initiate a policy committee even tonight. You know, if you could do that and get started. I know we have a big agenda tonight. Jody will be presenting the 23-24 budget and warrant articles and the MS 27. Karen will, if you have questions on the March 13th PD day, we'll be able to certainly talk about that. One issue that I want to bring to your attention is on that March 13th day, I think it's important for the entire staff to be able to come in and participate in that discussion. For some support staff, that is typically a day off. It's an unpaid day. So I think it's money well spent that we can offer them payment to come in and attend the day. So that's another suggestion that I have for you. I know the middle high school report, they've completed the midterm assessment in the high schools, and the middle school testing is that done?
Just, there was some makeups going on.
Okay, yeah, so they've been engaged in that. Joe compiled some preliminary data on student achievement for you to look at. And we want to follow this kind of data very closely. Certainly talk about it with Karen as our Director of Teaching and Learning. But I thought that one of the best things that happened this past month was a presentation by Joey Hood, the Hinsdale, I mean, I had no idea that he even existed, but it was a tremendous presentation to the entire student body, at various times. And he had a great message to the kids, and he's a successful alum, appointed as the ambassador to Tunisia. It was just really exciting for me to see that, but also I think the kids were engaged in that presentation. So, and it was funny to see all of his relatives. That's his relatives. I mean, how many people raised hands and said they're related to?
Oh, there's so many more that wasn't even there. So, yeah.
So that was, that was great. That was one of the best things I've seen in a while. Technology, I know that Justin is hard at work on the new website. I don't know where we are with that, but if you have questions on that, you can certainly ask him. HR has been busy conducting interviews, always searching for subs, and we still have a number of open positions, on the books. So we're trying to chip away at that. The last thing, I talked with Holly about this, is the New Hampshire School Board Association is available, and they suggest scheduling a board workshop following the elections. I recommend that we do that as soon as possible, try to book them now.
Yeah, I spoke with Barrett about that as well. So yeah, we can talk a little bit more about that
Okay.
later. Yeah.
All right, so that is all set. And the rest of the information is for non-public, but that concludes my report. So if you have any questions, you can certainly ask anyone here.
Yep, actually, if we can start with the superintendent's report, if anyone has questions for Kim, and then we can just go down the line.
Question and a comment.
Mhm.
So my question is, so between the 12,000 for the PD, the 8,000 for the student handbook, and the money for the support staff to the PD, do we have that in the budget now?
I believe that we will have it in, and, we've got some personnel that we haven't hired or we've hired very late. So I think we'll be okay.
All right.
And then there's some other things that are coming in under budget. So I've taken a look at it. I agree with Mr. Karen that I think it's money well spent.
Oh, yeah, that's not a question. I
And
just wanted
yeah.
to know if we had the money.
I believe, yeah, well, no, that matters. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, and the support staff, we've done this in the past before. We had them come in on,
Yeah.
and it comes out of their PD pool. They have a PD pool of money, don't they, the support staff?
Yes, they do.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
and
it
they,
would come out of
they've
that.
asked for more PD.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. So they have a pool of money.
So I think that's bad. I said I wanted to make sure money was actually there. I think that's an important question to ask.
Well, I mean, it's theirs, whether it's there or not, we gotta find it. So, yes, I
For-
understand.
For that piece, but there are
Absolutely.
two other pieces.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And my other thing, which is more of a statement than a question, is we already have a tuition committee that has been
Yeah.
formed. So my suggestion would be to get that group back together,
Mhm.
review what's been done and tweak as needed.
That's what we said we would do last month. We would resurrect the committee, not a committee of admins. We'd resurrect actually that committee. So, yeah, so we can talk more about that, but that's what, I had that note as well.
Oh, did you? All right.
I found that in my Teams.
Yes,
And I was like,
yeah.
oh yeah, there's all that stuff.
And I
So,
found
yeah.
stuff in my email, a few things that aren't in the Teams
Right.
folder. Yeah, it was Gina and I, Wayne, I think Tom O'Connor maybe,
Yep.
Tim Benson and Glenn Hammett and Michelle Calderwood and Catherine Lynch were the community members. So I don't know if any of those people would be willing to do it again. I mean, Gina and I, right? But otherwise, yeah. So, well, thank you, Sean, because I had that note as well.
That's all I had.
Okay, Gina, do you have anything? No, April?
No.
Julia, do you have anything for Kim?
No, all set, thank you.
Okay, I have a couple of questions. So the code of conduct, so well, I know last month we talked about having the admin look at it, which, that would be the Strum and Woodson Point part meeting with you guys to look at it. And then we talked about then having a work session with the admin and the board members from the community, help me out.
Behavioral support.
Behavior support. Thank you. Behavior support, do it. So, and that's what we had talked about last time. So I just wanted to mention that as a bit of process if we still are interested in doing that, because I think board members should have input on it. At that point before the final one comes to the board. So it would just, from what I was reading, it sounded like this Drummond Woodsum piece working with the admin would be that first step. We just didn't have Drummond Woodsum in it last month when we were talking about it. And then it would go to this work session with the behavior support, the board members from behavior support, not the entire behavior support committee. And I re-listened to the meeting today just to refresh my memory that it wasn't the whole committee. So just to keep that in mind going forward.
I'll make a note to include the behavior support committee.
The board members from the behavior
members.
support committee, yeah, and so the rest are all admin on there, so some of them might be in your working group anyway. When you know what I mean, if you
Okay.
pull them in after you're done with Drummond Woodsum,
All right.
yeah. My other point was like, hold on a second. Oh, it sort of goes with the tuition exploratory. You had mentioned about that the board, you're reaching out to other districts. The actual authorization was only to reach out to Winchester, not to any other district at
Yeah,
this
that was
time.
just me getting excited.
Oh, good, because that'll be once the committee is formed, reaching out. Awesome. Okay, I just want to make sure that it was
Yeah.
just Winchester is all we wanted right
I
now.
got that.
Yeah, and you already said the other piece I have here about community forums, maybe working with the community connections, because that's generally how we did it. We used to have quite a bit of forums, number of forums, and community connections and admin would work together, and it would be like, and we would send the flyer out to every mailbox in town, so everybody would get it, whether you were a parent or not, just everybody in town got it, so. And my other piece is, yes, I agree with policy committee, so, if we want to discuss that, what board members want to be on it and how that would be structured, if we want to do that tonight. I know I'm involved with some policy work. I've been approached about being on the policy committee for COSBA, the national. So, I mean, so I'm into policy, so. If nobody, if one other person or unless two of you are really burning desire to do it, I could do it, and then another board member, it's usually two board members on these things, but however you want to structure it, what do you think? They're looking at each other like, "Look at it."
I say start with the one, right? Because we have new board members coming on, so start with
Oh, true.
Start with-
Yeah,
like the
No, I have
most
a
experienced one,
comment.
right? Then you can always add someone on afterwards, but
that's a good.
it
point.
seems like. It seems like, yes, we should start it sooner rather than later, but. Let's keep our options open for new people,
Okay, that's a good
because
point.
new people may also have different points of view.
And be interested in it.
Yeah.
That's good. So we can start it right away, like you said about the cell phone policy, looking at that first and then branch out, when we do a committee assignments in April with new people, then we can get two people on it. Okay, Julia, does that sound good?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do
Thank
you
you.
want to be on the policy committee, Julia? No. I'm
No, I do not.
joking. That's the facial expression of everybody else here, like, no.
No, oh God,
No,
no.
I've been asking about it for years, so off and on,
Well,
so
you have,
I
haven't you?
have, yeah. Awesome. Okay, so that's all I had for Kim's report, so. So we can just do the usual. Does anybody, oh, and Jody, do you want to do the budget approval under budget or under financial?
It's entirely up to you, like, either way, either place is fine.
Which do you guys want to do?
It's
It's up to you.
one or the
Where
other.
do you feel comfortable addressing it? Let us
Either way
know.
it works.
Yeah,
So we could do it under budget.
under
Yeah.
budget, okay,
Let's just keep it neat.
okay, just wanted to, whenever you'd like.
Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions for Jody? Oh, could you send us the monthly financials once you get them all set? Are you able to
So
email it
that's,
to us?
yeah,
because of
that
the
was
schedule?
the problem. I
Yeah.
couldn't get them to you in advance because it was
Easy.
still, the month was still going on. And I see that by the calendar, next month will be the same way. So I can send them to you in the next day or two.
Okay.
There's a couple of things that I need to go put in first before we can close the month.
Yeah.
But I should be able to get them out to you by the end of the week.
Awesome, thank
Okay.
you. And I saw Kim just reminded me, I forgot to ask Connor if he had any questions for Kim. Sorry, Connor.
Nothing in particular. no.
Okay, and if I forget, you just speak up. Don't be shy.
You can throw something. at it.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. All right, anybody else have any questions for Jody? Okay. Karen?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to let you know that I wrote this report before Mr. Karen and I planned the PD day, so scratch what's in there about PDJ. And although some of it pertains, but, we did change it up quite a bit, so I'll report out on that correctly in the next month.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions for Karen? Nope. Okay, Principal, Mr. Barth.
So, Mr. Karen actually mentioned a lot of what was in my report. I think having Joey Hood here was great, and he was a great speaker, and the kids were very attentive, and they did a very nice job. I did tell the student body that starting January 27th, although it shows here February 7th, that no more cell phones in the hallways, that they were only allowed in the cafeteria until further notice. So, we get this policy going, but I know that was what was in our last board meeting. So seems to be okay right now. Again, this report was done early, but we're gonna have an Ashwillet concert on February 14th, 10 a.m. For the middle school. And Mr. Kennedy set that up, so that should be fun. It's a lot of classical music. And that's again another good way to expand our students and get them to hear other kinds of music other than rap or whatever. And then I think the biggest thing, and we'll talk about that a little bit later, is the program of studies. But that's kind of where we're at, and the climate survey will be done next week. I'm just waiting on the final approval, which was, you folks had approved that back in January.
For the student one.
Student.
Okay, because you mentioned the staff in
Well,
here, so
yeah, I'm still waiting to hear back to get something from NEAS. I know they have it
Okay,
and NASSP, but they haven't gotten back to me.
okay, cool, because I had that question, where does the student one stand? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Does anybody have any questions for John?
I was just curious how many kids we had participating in the spelling bee.
Oh, yeah.
It was about 12.
Wow.
Spelling bee was great, and the amount of sixth graders that did it, and to get up there and to do it, and we had some students that were identified students that participated, and they did a great job. And actually, the top three are going to Toadstool Friday to pick out some folks they get for their awards. Yeah, so Ms. Hammett's gonna take them there, so that's really nice. But I was surprised that the students that participated. That's pretty nerve-wracking, in front of your peers and your student body.
Yeah,
So it was very cool.
great.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Julia, do you have anything for John?
Nope.
Okay. I had just one thing, and this kind of also goes with Joe. I had a request when we put the agenda together to remove the bullying data, discipline data and bullying item off the agenda, and the rationale was because it's in your reports, and it's not in either of your reports this month. And we wanted it every month, so I agree with taking it off of as an agenda item because it was in your reports anyway. So if you could get that to Maria and she could get it to us, because I don't believe we said we didn't want it anymore. We still wanted it every month.
Yeah, my rationale was we've only had 2 weeks since the last board report.
Has it been that long? It's been, because you had to put it together, so it's
Well,
3
it was a
weeks, but
very
you had to
short
put it
time
together.
period,
Okay.
so
right.
The March one, you'll have a whole.
Okay, then that makes more sense, because you're like 2 weeks. I'm like, I think it's longer, but you're right. You had to make your report in 2 weeks.
Well,
Okay.
even our last.
It was like 3 weeks ago. It was like at least 3 weeks. Yeah, but still,
anyway,
whatever,
that's-
nevertheless. Okay, so that makes more sense,
Yeah.
because I'm like, okay, they asked me to take it off. And now it's not there. Awesome. Okay. You guys okay with that then?
Sure.
Okay, cool. Thank you. That makes so much more.
Only because what I had done was September, October, November, December. So that was gonna be a January, February.
But we were getting them monthly though, weren't we? I think we were still getting them monthly every month.
That's fine.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah, you were, but
Yeah.
we had changed the format.
Okay.
January.
Well, what do you,
September, October information, then November, December information.
what do you guys, I mean. I thought it was
So in
monthly,
March, we'll
so-
get January, February,
But then in. March.
February, March, April.
So April, yeah, I'm like, that won't work out then.
Right, yeah.
1 month
It'll work
ago,
out for March, but
but
not
it'll
April.
work out, yeah.
Moving forward.
FYI, that I've been talking with Justin about trying to put together a sort of a dashboard of important data, that you want to see on a regular basis. Which will help facilitate that kind of communication between the board and the administration.
cool.
So I think we'll just continue the way we're going, but,
Until it's.
I'm hoping that Justin comes up with some kind of a brilliant idea to
Of course he will.
help us organize this a little bit better.
He's Superman. All right, cool. Yeah, and but the bullying piece, we've been getting that monthly for years. So that's, because it, was a big identified problem several years ago. So that one, we absolutely do want that one monthly, I think. But, all right, oh, and so, yeah, so then the staff survey, what my recollection was, and I don't think we definitely landed on anything, was that you were gonna do the student one, which you're doing. But then we talked about Community Connections putting out a staff survey. That was our initial thought. So rather than that, your suggestion is to do the NEASC one? Or
Only if I can
whoever.
get that, I mean, if it's,
Okay.
I would leave it up to the board of how you folks want to proceed.
I understood he was gonna get the information from that.
From the staff, because Sean wanted us to wait until we did the staff.
Yeah.
Yeah, or no, for the students, because Sean wanted us to hold off on a staff one until we did the student one. I remember that comment. And because I disagreed, so that's why I remember it.
I don't remember,
Yeah.
to tell you the truth.
But
I just mean from the staff, he was gonna get the information about the survey, that he was getting it from where I can't, off the top of my head, yeah.
oh, okay, yeah, and I
And
don't,
then he was gonna give that information to the board and we were gonna see what it looked like, I think. And then,
okay, because I don't, okay, good, because I
and then
don't,
move forward from there.
all right, because I didn't remember a staff survey being from anywhere, but so I might
remember
have
talking
missed
about
that in
it.
my notes. Okay, so you're gonna take care of the surveys
Yes.
and then, okay, good. All right, I just wanted to clarify that because I didn't have NEASC in my notes for that. All right, that's all I had. Gina, did you have anything? I don't remember. Good, okay. Joe,
Thanks, Madam Chair, you have my report. Yeah, that's all.
does anybody have any questions for Joe? No? All right, thank you, Joe. And Justin,
So, yeah, I'm report, thanks, pretty short this month, but. We've been doing a lot of the support.
any questions for Justin?
No, I just want to say that I did go and look at the new page, the new website, and prefer it so much more over the one that we have. Love how the content blocks come down versus just the link. I think it looks really, really good.
Yeah. So do we have to like approve it going live or no, just whenever you're set or?
I was just gonna ask tonight if briefly,
Yeah,
everyone's okay with it, when I'm ready to pull the trigger, I'll
just do it.
make it live.
Yeah, sounds good. Awesome. Thank you.
Formatting changes that may happen still. And I'm ready to make it live, at least on the district side, we can see how it goes and push out to the two schools.
Awesome, cool. Thank you. The logo looks good. Yeah. Yeah, thank you for, doing whatever you needed there, because
And
yeah.
the quality gets lost.
Right.
And saving as a PDF here, print it out.
Yeah,
It's good
no.
on the website.
Well, no, I remember too, when we had given Wayne as his going away gift, like a clock with the Pacer logo on it. Remember, it was difficult to find one that was,
Well, I
High enough quality
turned
and-
that one into a vector image. So if you ever want me to send you that file to see if it's of use to you, but I had turned that into the original one
yeah.
into it a while back. But whatever, I like the one you did too. So I mean, I can always send it to you if you want.
Yeah,
That's fine.
I only mention it.
I took back Debbie's file and I found probably the original from when I was in 8th grade.
Yeah.
It was dated 2002. I want to get started.
And I'm sure if you asked anyone, what's the, vector versus raster image, they'd be like, it's there on the paper. I don't mean to say that as insulting, it's just until you start doing it with these other uses. You don't
No,
know the difference, but-
absolutely.
I mean, I'll send you what I
Sure.
had and you can always just do delete.
Here's the thing. Thank you, Sean.
Delete.
Exactly.
The thank you part's the most important.
Yes, yes. Does anybody have any questions for Justin? No? All right, thank you, Justin. And Sarah.
Just in the short period between writing this and you all reading it, we've filled 3 positions. Another offer's been extended that the individuals thinking about, and will get back to me. And we have 3 new subs to add to the list, but it's probably a later in the spring break kind of type of coverage. And another sub packet was picked up today. So cool, wishes are being taken.
Great, thank you very much. Any questions for Sarah? All right. All right. Let's flip back to the other side. I was almost gonna go to committee reports. Oh, wait a minute, we missed a big chunk of business. All right, so back to new board visits. So superintendent search, we're going along, having some interviews, and we'll update you about all that in non-public, so. Hinsdale Town Master Plan, so I'll put that over to Sean. There's only a couple of pages in there that he needed the board to take a look at, so. Sean.
Alrighty, so the planning board is, has been actually, working on updates to the town's master plan. The last comprehensive update, I believe, was 2014. We did, I want to say last year, we did chapter 3, which was recreation. And what we wanted to do this year was the chapter 4 economic development. We have actually wrote a grant application with Southwest Regional Planning for the NADNOX Vital Economies Grant. So they are actually helping us do this chapter of the master plan in charge. We'll try with the planning board doing it ourselves. We're saving a little bit for the town. The last time we did the big plan was with Southwest pretty much writing the entire plan for us, and it was many thousands of dollars. So what we're doing is it's a saving money type thing. It's a tailoring the master plan more towards Hinsdale and our current challenges and demographics and all of that. It's also a good training piece for the members of the planning board. So in any case, chapter 4, economic development, it's broken up in a really cool way. The Southwest Regional Planning is doing, the guy we're working with in this really great way. So we have identified objectives, identified demographics, identified goals. The different sections have summaries as far as, like the overall, what are we trying to achieve? And it lists out active leads, like who's going to actually do the job, who's going to actually take the lead on the initiative, who the community partners are, and what potential funding opportunities are available right now to fund some of this stuff. Because right now, there's unprecedented levels of funding for some of the stuff the town needs for economic development. In any case, what pertains to the school district is there are sections in there that are about the Hinsdale School District. There's sections as far as like working together with the Board of Selectmen for capital improvements, which we have tried to do before, but we should probably try to do again, just so we're not hitting the taxpayers with a lot all at once. If we work together, we can kind of see what each group needs and proceed accordingly. And there's a couple of little things here and there as far as what the school board would be hopefully jumping on board to help do with the town. A little bit of a bigger piece is the ELO piece, and I hadn't received a reply as far as could I contact Karen? So I did anyway. So I apologize if I overstepped, but I needed to get it done. So I did send.
Did you ask me?
I sent it to you and Holly.
Oh, I missed that too.
Yeah.
I was thinking the same thing. Who did you ask? I hope it
That's
wasn't me.
that's all right. So anyway, I did send it to Karen because there's a bigger piece on ELOs and personalized learning and all of that. So if you'll notice on this the page with the email here, the specific pages and sections that the school district and the ELO stuff are all actually this is just the school district. Oh no, I separated out. School district and the ELOs are right there, so you can jump right to those sections. And what I kind of need the board to do, and again, I've discussed it with Karen, what I kind of need the board to do is to look at those sections and say, is the information correct? Is the information about the school district and stuff that we have in here correct? Because if there's something that's wrong, we need to fix it. We want accurate data for the master plan, since it is a guide for the town, the entire town, as far as how the entire town moves forward. then I need you folks to look at it and say, well, you know, that's all well and swell, but I'd also like to see this. Or I'd like to subtract this, or, you know, what the board's input is as far as additions of or subtractions to the plan. And then, of course, the big question is the school district willing to do these things? You know, are we willing to get together with the selectmen and, you know, talk about CIP stuff again? You know, is Karen willing to continue to work with the ELOs, you know, which I assume the answer is yes. So those are the three kind of action items. You know, are there any errors? Are there any edits that you folks would like to see? And is it reasonable that the school district would be able to take care of these items or to participate in moving forward with the town on the plan? And I would need that information by February 14th. That is the next time that we're running through this to make edits before potentially group meetings with the selectmen and the planning board or the public hearings, because I do have to have a public hearing to have it accepted by the town. So that's it. There's really only a couple of sections really for a school district. Most of it is really Karen.
And I've looked at it, Sean, and like I said, there's a few things that I would maybe just change the wording a bit.
Yep, and I found a few errors myself, you know, as far as some of like the partnership stuff.
Yeah,
I also, I'm trying to think about what the big edit was. Oh, one of the things I had wanted to Todd from Southwest to put in there somewhere, I thought might be good to call out the fact that sometimes our students are graduating with industry recognized credentials.
yes, very
I
important.
think that's a really good piece to put in there.
And that's a big part of it.
Yep.
That can go under the section about the grant.
Yep.
Because that's
Yep.
funding
Perfect.
IRCs for kids, so yeah,
Perfect.
I'll add that in.
So, I mean, I don't know if anyone had a chance to look through it since they got the board packet. If they want to email me separately, whatever you guys want to do is totally up to you.
So, yeah, that's what I was gonna say, because I know, like, I glanced through it, but, you know, having you explain it more to us, I think was clarified it more.
That's my
Absolutely.
planning board hat. right?
Yeah.
So not a lot of people, I'd be willing to bet the majority of people in town don't know the town has a master plan. Every town in New
You've told
Hampshire-
them a lot
I
on
have.
social media,
I
but
have.
yes, I agree.
Every town in New Hampshire has to have a master plan. It should be updated every 10 years or so, or more often. The goal of the planning board is to keep it a little bit more of a working document than it has been in the past, right? So like we've done the recreational chapter, now we're doing the economic development. As we do that, I'm gonna go back and look at things in recreation, because now the boat launch project, which was listed as in
Mm.
progress, is done,
yeah.
right? So to try to keep updating it. And it is, you know, and I had this conversation with the selectmen on Monday, it's. The master plan is important, because it is a guide, right? We can have board goals, the selectmen have their goals and everything else, but there has to be a guide for the town, a vision for the town. What do the taxpayers want? What does the legislative body want? What does the governing body want? How does that all mesh together, right? So, you know, the planning board, again, for the last few years has been really active in looking at zoning, looking at our ordinances, trying to, you know, kind of make a good stage or make a good environment for economic development. And again, the master plan is part of that whole thing, right? Here's where we are, where do we want to be? You know, and then a process of revisiting that regularly, because where we say we want to be right now may not be what we want to be in a couple of years, because something may have changed, right? So continually looking at that and reviewing is important. And anyway, that's my spiel, and I'll shut up.
So process wise, you said, like, you know, obviously, we have any comments, whatever, to email you, so you don't. So this is a question, do you need a motion from us for anything, because that would go counter to us
Yep, no, I don't-
individually emailing you, just.
I don't need a
process.
motion for anything. Anybody that sees anything in this that wants to email me something is fine. I just wanted to, you know, call it to the board's attention. I guess, as far as the participation piece though, I guess if because no one board member can commit the board to a course of action. So I
exactly.
guess if you guys wanted to take a quick look at the action items, right, and say, you know, does the board want to meet with the selectmen to work out a CIP plan or whatever? Or maybe it can even just be, you know, we're amenable to the idea. You know, but you can always change your mind later too.
Yeah. Okay, so any questions for Sean about that, first of all, and then we'll see.
So if you look at, so if you want the summary, right, if you look at pages 3 and 4. That's the summary of who the leads are on the different projects. So let's look down here real quick, bear with me. Board of Selectmen and School Board action items. So at goal B, the action item B2, meet annually with the school board to exchange information about, so it'd be school and select board, about anticipated capital expenditures.
Mhm.
And it seems like that's pretty much
That's like
it
the big
as
one.
far as the board, because
Yeah,
other stuff
yeah,
would be
that-
like Karen.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and like the enrollment and stuff or whatever, that's not,
Right.
Yeah, action.
Because all the other stuff is informational stuff that, if you guys see errors, we can just about. And, yeah, the other stuff, so really, I guess that's just it. Are you guys willing to, you know, periodically chat with the Board of Selectmen to see what kind of upcoming expenditures may be coming up?
yeah, and we used to do
Capital
that back in the day, we would do that.
Yep.
More often.
Yep.
Before, you know, COVID and
Right.
things got upheaved, whatever. Yeah, so, what do you guys think about that? Somebody wanna make you would need a motion for us to, or a consensus, or would you feel better with a motion?
I mean, I think consensus is fine.
Okay. So how do we all feel about that? Good? Julia? Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
No, we don't wanna, of course, no. Yes.
We don't want to do
We
anything.
don't wanna do anything. No, yeah, I mean, it's something we've done in the past.
Yep.
You
it
know,
is.
we've often done
It
that
is.
in the past about CIP stuff, so it's
Yeah.
kind of just reestablishing stuff that had fallen by the wayside.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Cool. And then anybody, like he said, go through those pieces that he highlighted, and if you find anything or questions, errors, comments, just email him and let him know before the 14th.
Yep. And feel free, if you have questions on anything, to let me know, because at this point I am fairly familiar with the town's master plan.
Yeah, fairly familiar. You sell yourself short. All right, cool. Thank you, Sean, for all that. So next up, we have the program of studies. I guess, John, we often would have the guidance counselor here, but we don't, so it's you.
Well, and, I mean. I offered him to come, but I've been doing this enough years
Yeah.
as a counselor. So we tried to make this as easy as possible to follow, because it's a large document. So you see the changes to the program of studies. So what went out to staff, is if they wanted any new courses, or if there were changes that need to be made. They gave that to Matt Azzaro. Matt Azzaro then took that information and ran it by me. So you have this one pager. A lot of it's just cleaning up things, things that didn't make sense. Really the new course would be physical education and individual physical education, pages 51 and 52. That's a big one. We added on page 54 assisted study, because people don't necessarily know that. Assisted study is for students that are identified with learning disabilities, and they are placed in areas in different school districts. It's called different things. Some stuff that was in the program of studies no longer made sense, and were not accurate. We added business management and STEM pathways. Also added learning labs, which again is more special education. And then when you go through, they're all identified and highlighted. For you to see. The major pieces, this document will get edited every year, and different hands are in it, and the formatting is a total mess.
Yeah.
I think since 2007, you've had all these different people doing it. And so that is one piece that we have to clean up. And get it on a document, and that, again, that's not unusual for school districts formatting, because one person is comfortable one way, one person is comfortable using a different, formatting system. But really, there's not a lot of changes into it. It's really the physical education courses, the business and personal math. Because some of the stuff didn't make any sense anymore. And the goal is to start after February vacation, meeting individually with students. We'll have a parent evening to go over the program of studies and what potentials for students grade 8 through 11. You know, and do that piece and then start scheduling again. I want each student to individually be met with to review it and then also have the parent sign off on it. My understanding is that hasn't always happened, that the parent would sign off on the student's schedule for the next year. And I think that's vitally important for their involvement. And then start building the master schedule in April. And I think, again, the challenge, and I may mention this back in August or things like that, having the middle school and teachers crossing over to both middle and high school becomes a challenge. And somehow if we can fix that, I don't have the total answer for that yet. But I'm also exploring a person who's a consultant and works at Power School and works with individual schools to see what the cost would be. I've had him, I know, he worked for Monadnock for a few years. I brought him in at Phoenix because we had some of these same challenges. So we're reaching out to him, but we won't do anything until we know that. But he's he's one of the best. I'd hire my wife, but that wouldn't work. She's one of the best too. But I'm open to any questions you may have. Again, it's a big document.
Did anybody have any questions for John? And it's pretty similar to what we see, you know, the one pager and then the highlighting. So yeah, thank you guys for all that work and that's always very helpful because that came about a couple of years ago, but it wasn't always like that. So we would have to be combing through it and yeah, so this is helpful the way it's done. Any questions? People?
So as far as like the parent signing off thing, my kids are fairly spread apart. So when Alexis was in school, they'd have parent sign up night, you know, where the kids pick out what they want to do for classes and the parent usually joins them. I don't remember signing anything per se, but I remember being there for her throughout the couple of years that she was in high school, you know what I mean? So do you still do that?
So if a parent wants to meet individually with the counselor, we definitely would encourage that, to sit down and spend some more time. We'll go through typical 9th grade courses, 10th grade courses, 11th, 12th, for, you know, typical, again, freshmen, so and so. So the parents have an idea of what it looks like, implications, if you're looking at 4-year college, 2-year college, career, technical, and those pieces. And then what we do, and we will do, is if I'm a 9th grader, maybe I get a green form, a 10th grader, an orange form, 11th grader, so for the counselors to keep track of that also. But parents would need to sign off.
So like a sheet would come home.
Yes, she would come
Kind of
up.
thing, instead of like having the sign up night that they used to do,
Right.
kind of thing, because
Yeah.
that's a little chaotic, but.
I was gonna say, yeah,
Yeah,
that's,
but I mean, it
worked.
mine worked.
I liked the sign up night. I thought it was great. They did it usually, 1 or 2 classes. It wasn't like all 4 grades at one night. It would be like, if you're gonna be a freshman or sophomore next year, come to this one. If you're gonna be a junior or senior. And it walked the parents through the course of study, graduation requirements, and then it talked, and then you could talk about, okay, so then it had your kids schedule what they've had, where they fit into, how many credits they had, what they needed, what their schedule. I thought it was fantastic. I'm sorry we don't do that anymore.
So we're gonna modify that, so we wouldn't have 8 through 12 all together at once.
Yeah,
So
we
8th
didn't do it
grade,
all together.
yeah, well, 8th
They
grade,
only did it like 1 or 2 grades. It would be like, if you're gonna be in 9th or 10th, come this night.
I think each grade.
Because it sounds like when you just send a sheet home to a parent, you know, sometimes you don't feel like you're getting all the information. I'm granted, a lot of parents are gonna just sign it, send it back anyway, but for the parent to have to know that they can have the initiative, say, hey, listen, I'd really like to know, you know, my son's gonna be, or daughter's gonna be a junior, you know, this is the path we're looking to take, and where do we stand, that kind of thing. I understand you can do that individually, but a lot of parents will take the initiative. But if there's an invitation to do so at a certain time, when there's a lot of information to be shared, I think, I mean, we used to always anyway have a really great turnout, whereas parents might not individually reach out, but if you offer some sort of educational informational session, I think that I think it's beneficial to the school community.
So I can't quite wrap my head around one counselor meeting with, 200 kids in an evening.
I think they
No,
did
no.
it, they did it one grade at a night. So,
Right,
like,
in a night, right,
yeah.
so now he's talking
So
4
the-
nights, right?
Yeah, it would be.
One or two in a grade, right? There was the counselor and the administration and superintendent. I mean, it's not that many kids, right? So, and you don't have, you get a 50% turnout type of thing, but I don't know. I just thought it was I thought it was a great service as a parent to know, because the rules changed. I mean, between my oldest one and my youngest one, there was a lot of changes that went on. So it's great to be brought up to speed all the time on it.
So I'm open, I will talk with Matt Azzaro, our counselor, and I can report back to you March 1st, because I think our next meeting is March 2nd.
I think it's March
I-
1st, actually.
No,
isn't it?
our next meeting is March 1st.
Yeah.
Oh, you're not,
March 1st.
okay, right, okay, sorry, yeah.
And I'm not suggesting you need to this is me, one person's opinion as a parent. I thought it was great. That's all, I'm kind of feeding off of what April said. It was different when Alexis was in versus what's now. I'm not suggesting you need to investigate or go this route. I'm just one person. I'm speaking as a parent. I thought there was a lot of benefit to that. I think it's beneficial that you're now at least asking for a parent to sign something, which I was not aware that hasn't always been the case. So I think that's important. I just feel like opportunities for parent involvement and information and education is just always a great idea.
Yeah, I would suggest if sounds like there's interest in doing something like that. So maybe we can sit down and see what it would look like,
Right.
I've been involved in a high school of 2,500 kids, and we would have a curriculum night. And it'd be packed with people, and they'd be meeting at various tables. And it worked well, parents loved it. And it gave the chance for them to learn more about the good things that the school was doing. So it is something positive, I think, and we'll sit down and have something ready for you at the next board meeting. If that's okay.
So I think for me, the part that I like best is the fact that Matt's gonna be meeting with doing the one-on-ones, right?
Absolutely.
I got that with my guidance counselor in high school. My kids did not get that here, and I was always really disappointed in that. So the fact that that's happening, I think it's fantastic.
Agree.
Gina, do you have anything else? I know you went through the process too, that they're talking about with Mariah, I'm sure.
Oh, God, it's so long ago, I don't even remember.
Yeah, I did all of that. It's hit and miss.
Before you know it, your grandkid will be in that
There was
position.
always some
before you know
computer
it.
problems with signing
Yeah.
up. with
Yeah.
Kids or whatever. But,
Justin will take care of
but
it.
yeah. Keep on and be good.
Well, and again, my experience of using the computers, not that that's bad, I had a counselor wanted to have every kid sitting on it in the computer, on a computer. But the kids hadn't been informed, so we did it that 1 year, and then I scrapped it. I said, no, we're going back. We talk about personalization here a ton. But for a kid to just put in, and the kid next to him, oh, I want to take this course, but it doesn't make sense. So sitting down individually
Yeah.
with a
Yeah.
counselor is extremely important.
Yeah, because I never saw a counselor in school. When I was in school,
No, my kids didn't either.
it's just
so
like,
I-
Alexis did, wasn't positive, but she did. But I'm sure it's much better now.
All right, so if there's no other questions, you just need a motion to,
Sorry.
thank you, just jump in, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Take a
I
pencil.
know. I'm so sorry, I have done this other meetings, I call on you, I don't know what's wrong with me tonight. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
I would just like to know like the formal naming for like the parents meeting with the students to schedule and stuff, so I can ask for student body opinions on.
Thank you. What's the meeting called, like, how will it be?
it's
Publicized.
basically, it's a scheduling night. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know, I can't remember, I've done it many different
Class
ways.
sign up night, I think is what.
Kind of-
Curriculum information, something about curriculum or
A program of studies,
Yeah.
you know,
program, right,
Yeah.
program of studies and schedule.
Study night or like a sign up night.
Sign, yeah,
Sign up for your classes, basically,
well, we wouldn't necessarily
Do
sign up for
that, yeah.
class,
no, not yet.
but
but review the program of studies.
Yeah.
And you and I
You two can
talk.
get together. and
Yeah,
figure it out.
yeah, come up with it, yeah, so the parents, yeah, that's a good, that's a
Yes.
super question, like, when the parents have a blurb of, okay, this is the name of the night, like financial aid night, you know,
Yeah.
what is
Right.
this, something like
Right.
that. That's
The
an awesome,
Students should know what to expect too. and,
yeah.
yeah,
Right?
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. That's an awesome, great question, thank you for jumping in.
That'll be all.
Thank you. All right, so, just need a motion then to
I
approve.
will make the motion to approve the program of studies.
Second,
All right, any further discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye.
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 Thank you. Great,
Thank you.
thanks, John. And thank Matt Azaro
Yeah.
for us as well. All right, so next up, board, it's listed as board evaluations, and Kim had briefly talked about you know, with the NHSBA, but this is prior to that, so what Kim and I had talked about, we had done this several times before COVID, where we would have a board quote retreat. We had looked at going off site once or twice, we never did that, never spent the money on that, so we kind of, for a change of scenery, a few times we went over to the high school library. Which isn't a huge change of scenery, because when Gina and I were first on the board for the first like half dozen years, that's where we met, so it was like a deja vu. But we did it like on a Sunday, late morning, early afternoon brunch time, and we would bring brunchy food. And we would do we send it out ahead of time to the board, but a board self-evaluation, which we have in our policy manual. And then also talk about, you know, some tweaks to the agenda, tweaks to different things, you know, but it would be us and Kim. And what do you guys think about that? And we would like to schedule it before new board members come on, because it doesn't make sense for brand new people to do a board self-evaluation when they haven't been on the board.
I think it's,
Isn't that like in 5 or 6 weeks?
I'm sorry,
what's
what?
that?
Isn't that in like 5 or 6 weeks?
Yeah, so this would be like in February or early March. Yeah, so yeah, the election is like the 14th, I think, or something like that. Yeah, the election's March 14th. So and then the 18th is district meeting when you and Sean would be done. I can't even say it.
Before that, it'd be the 18th.
I'm sorry, what?
I thought district meeting was the 11th for some reason.
No, yes, the next week, it's just because the first is on a Wednesday, so the election's the second Tuesday, so it's later this year than
Yeah.
normal.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that seems like, yeah.
yeah. So what do you guys think about the concept of a Sunday or, because doing it in the evening, we're all tired. It's not a good thing. Can I talk with Kim and he's good with a Sunday?
Yeah.
Oh, I know Saturday's not great for you postal people.
Yeah, I'm not doing this.
No, yeah, so yeah, what are your thoughts and what kind of dates?
I think it's a good idea. I think we should, especially because we are going to be getting some new members, to just kind of evaluate where we are and where we want to go.
Mhm. Yeah.
So that we have a direction with new board members coming on.
Okay, so do we want to look at a date? We would have to give a little bit of time so we can get the self-evaluation out and we would have time to complete it and I can send that out, you know, tomorrow to everybody. So what Sundays would work? Sunday, March 12th, well, that's right before the election. That's close. I was gonna say that's daylight savings time, so we lose an hour, so I'd rather not do that
The
Sunday.
only Sunday I can't is February 26th.
You cannot, is the
Cannot.
26th? Okay. February 26th. All right, so we're looking, probably
March
this
5th?
Sunday's, I was gonna say, do you think this Sunday might be soon? Because if we would have
Yes.
time to do the
Far too
evaluation, we
soon, I
wouldn't.
Yeah.
So,
Far too soon.
so the February 12th, 19th, or March
Yeah.
5th?
So I'm in Portsmouth from the 6th through the 11th, which means I'll be working a couple weeks straight, and I would prefer to not do it the 12th.
12th, okay.
I was gonna say the 19th sounds like a reasonable.
The 19th is leading into February break. I mean, I mean, it doesn't
That
matter too
doesn't
much
matter
for
to
us.
me.
I mean, I'm on vacation that week, but that doesn't matter to me. But so Kim, it's leading into February break. Would that?
Oh, that's a
be-
3-day weekend, that's President's Day.
Oh, it is a 3-day weekend. Were you looking to go away?
Company coming. But
Is it me?
it's not you, it's Bobby.
You could,
Oh, Bobby's coming. yeah.
it might be good. You could kind of get out of a little bit of it, right? If you wanted to. No, oh, it's fun.
Oh,
Okay,
it's good
sorry.
company.
Okay, okay.
Like
So we're-
March
So,
5th.
March fifth?
yeah, I was gonna say it, yeah. March 5th is good. Is that good for you, Julia? March 5th?
Sure.
Just
I don't know what tomorrow brings most days,
Yeah,
so.
true. Okay, so March 5th. It's in here. What times you guys think is good? Like 11 or earlier? Is 11 good?
11.
Not earlier.
Not
Not
earlier?
earlier.
Okay.
Not a morning person.
No,
I'm
I'm
not
not, you
either.
know that.
I'm not a late night person either, so, you know.
Yeah, we're grooving, we're grooving. Julia, do you think Sunday, March 5th at 11? Sounds
Okay.
good for you? Okay. All right, so we'll get that and I'll make sure to remind Maria because it'll have to be noticed.
Will we meet
If anybody
here?
wants to show up, in the high school library. Just so we get a change of scenery. And I'll send out emails then about food.
Yeah, and send out the
Whatever.
home
And
evaluation.
yep, I'll send that out tomorrow,
Great.
to everybody and we can get working on that. Awesome, thank you. And thank you, Kim, for being willing to work on a Sunday. And hopefully it'll just be a couple hours at the absolute most, absolute most, but no, it'll be good. All right, Connor.
So as it's the start of the new semester, students are obviously having to acclimate to their new schedules and stuff. And I think it's going pretty smoothly, you know, and while I have no proposals for the board this month, I would like, since the cell phone policy is such a point of contention, I would like to talk with our student council body on a more formal stance of the student body so that we can all come to a greater agreement. So I would first like to ask, are there any specific points of contention about cell phone usage in our school that you would like us to address?
We talked about it last month.
Yeah, I
a
was gonna
lot,
say,
not-
yeah, just trying to think of a way to kind of phrase.
I know,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I
No,
just want,
gosh,
like,
no.
specific
No,
words.
no.
How about if
Absolutely.
we do it this way? I asked the board members to kind of summarize what the points are that they feel are important to address. And then I can get that to you. And,
That sounds good.
okay.
Okay, yeah, so you mean not right now?
Yeah.
Think
Mhm.
or think about it, we'll get it
Think
to
about it,
you.
Get something to me.
Yeah,
I'll send something out,
okay,
you know, as a reminder.
That also gives me time to plan with the student council
Yep.
body, so that works for
Yeah.
me as well.
and is that good with you?
Yeah.
Okay,
No, that's great.
awesome, that's a great idea.
So, so here's my thing, right? And when we talked about this last month, what I had I wanted to be convinced, right? I wanted you guys to tell me why you wanted to do it and how things were gonna be better this way than the way they've been before, like, sell me. You know what I mean?
That's why I wanna put together this whole
Yep.
piece so that
Yep.
we can
And
create a
show us that you
formal
can be
united
responsible
front.
with that.
Right.
Show us that, you know,
Right, cause I mean.
we give you an inch, you're not gonna take that foot.
Exactly, so, yeah, I want the pitch, I wanna be sold as far as, hey, if you let us do this, this is what you're gonna see, you're gonna see an improvement here, and we'll get those, what you asked for, right? So we're gonna see an improvement in this, an improvement in this, and be honest, right, like, we're not sure how this piece is gonna go. Because that's okay, cause then we could try it and see, right? And then
Yes.
tweak it, but, that's kind of what I was waiting for last week was, you know, I kind of knew where my head was at, but I was totally willing to hear the pitch. Does that make sense?
Yes, I
Alright.
completely understand.
And along those lines, years ago, I mean, currently, I think because there's different kids now, but when we redid the dress code, whatever, 6, 7, whatever, we had students on that committee, and compliance and all that was much better for a period until some of those kids then graduated and newer kids came on and they weren't on board with it, but because they had the involvement and the voice and you know, they mostly complied with it, so I think that we all on the same lines.
Cause I'll tell you, and I don't wanna speak for everyone but myself, but I think that I can. I think I know all these folks well enough, right? We really honestly want the school building to be a place that you don't hate being in,
Mhm.
right? We want you to like being there as much as you're gonna, right?
Yes.
But we want it to be a good experience, so tell us how to do that, right?
Mhm. Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
I think that's great. That's the awesome way to approach it. Thank you so much. Anybody else have any questions or comments for Connor? Questions or comments for Connor? Spit that out. All right, awesome. Thank you so much. Yeah, and we'll, you know, get that stuff to you. Policy update, first reading of the cell phone policy. So I have several questions, but in light of the fact that we are gonna form a policy committee and this is gonna be our first, is the time frame of it is did you anticipate the policy committee meeting prior to our next board meeting? Because it'll
I
be
would love it.
that
We
would
could
be
do
good,
that.
and then we could bring any thoughts back.
Yep.
For the next reading. Okay. All right, so then maybe I don't ask my questions now, but which would be good. And we can save that for the policy committee, but anybody else have any comments or questions about this? Cause I have a lot with this that I am not quite on board with, so, but I can leave that for the policy
Leave that for the
committee.
policy.
Exactly,
Right.
exactly.
Right.
But does anybody else have any initial thoughts or comments or? No?
No.
Okay, so we just need to then approve this as a first reading.
I'll make the motion to approve it as a first reading.
Second.
Okay, like I said, any more questions, but no, there isn't. So, all those in favor of approving it as a first reading, say aye.
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 Thank you. All right, and then we have final readings. Before we just, you know, make a motion for that group, I want to point out the drone policy. Sean, pretty much rewrote it. So, just, you know,
I just really kind of copied and pasted the relevant sections and got rid of the junk.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, but it was a total like somewhat overhaul. You know what I mean? Yeah,
no,
yeah,
It's
of
basically,
the way it was.
it's basically, like, this is what a drone is, and don't fly it without the superintendent's permission.
Yeah, and don't fly it over this or over that.
Right. You know,
So I just
so,
wanted to point that out to everybody that
Yep.
much different, not much different, but you know what I mean, different.
oh, it's way
Yeah,
condensed.
yeah, condensed, exactly.
Yeah.
All right, so just need a motion to approve this group as a final reading.
I will make that motion.
Second.
All right, any questions or comments on, and not just the drone one, but any of those? Nope. All right, so all those in favor say aye.
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 Great, thank you. All right, any other business, Sean?
I don't think so.
If you think of something before we come back.
Yeah.
Gina? April? Julia?
Nope.
Connor? I just have two quick things. So, and I know we're gonna meet again before election day, but I just want to put this in people's minds just for your schedules. So we're gonna need counters on election day, which is March 14th at 7 p.m. We can all count because none of us will be on the ballot. So we could have 5 counters if you want. We don't have to, but just to think about that, and I'll ask again in March. And then the other piece is, so the policy committee, if we could form that tonight, at least with the board member on it, and then the admin can, whatever, we just need a motion for that.
I'll make that motion.
Second, sorry.
And are you guys all pointing at me, so you'd like me? Okay, so then the motion would be to appoint me for the policy, newly formed policy committee. Any other discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye.
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 Thank you. So yeah, just let me know when that's gonna meet and I'll, Shannon, if you could let me know and whoever else is on it. when we can meet for that. All right, so committee reports, personnel?
So I included in the board packet my summary of the personnel committee as well as the facilities committee. Happy to answer any questions.
Yeah, I know,
Yes,
setting the bar high,
It's really good.
yeah.
you know, it's what I do.
Any questions for Sean for personnel? No, okay, thank you. Health and wellness?
Oh, we have a meeting scheduled on the 15th at 5:30.
Cool,
Zooms,
awesome.
on the Zooms. On the-
And that's your first one, right, in a while, like,
It's been, yeah, this is the first one since last year, yeah.
and who's your chair, do you know, or you don't know
We
yet?
don't know yet.
Oh, so you're figuring that out at the
There
meeting,
is one from the notes I could find.
okay. Yeah, because the former chair was Anne, right? Wasn't she? And she's,
Yes, yes.
yes, yeah, so you need a new chair, so she was, yeah. All right, finance or budget committee, so Jody, this is Jody's time to
Yes,
shine.
Well,
And thank you, Jody, first of all, right off the bat, thank you for everything, thank you.
Sure, I don't get a cape though.
I know, right? All right, next month.
Why are you ruining my surprise?
Oh,
There's
alright.
gotta be something
No,
else.
no, sorry, just pretend you didn't hear that.
So we need to talk about the warrants. And then I would like to talk about the budget. I don't know what if you care which one comes first, but, I'm pretty pumped about this budget. I'm really excited that the amount on the MS 27 is only 23,000 more than the amount on last year. So I heard Sean say, well, how could that be? And it's because we had all those warrant articles last year. We had the $75,000 for that, we had 25 that went to the maintenance extendable trust. We had 50 that went to special ed. We had the bleachers. We had the teacher negotiation. So that increased our bottom line. And we don't have that this year.
Didn't the bleachers come out of unassigned funds?
Well, they might have come out of unassigned
No, I
funds,
think it
but
was a Warner.
Right,
yeah, it was a
but
warrant article,
where'd the money come from?
unassigned funds.
Yeah, it was
but-
unassigned funds,
But when you fill out the MS
it
27,
has to be on there.
it's
Right.
here. So that's what drove that bottom line up. Okay, so it was 7,670,000, 8,000-ish. What ended up coming up on the tax rate, as if you recall with the revenues,
Mhm.
was 7.9, so
Yeah.
7,919,000. This new budget, what, and assuming we don't have any revenue issues, which we will not have revenue issues. This new budget
Just
brings,
jinxed us.
no,
Sorry.
it's gonna,
Knock on wood.
it is. It will drop from the 7.9 to 7.7.
Oh, okay, oh,
Yeah.
good, all right,
Okay, so we should see a decline in the tax rate.
about 40, 35,
I,
40?
I think so. I haven't
Yeah.
completely done the math yet, but that's what I have in my
At like
head.
a couple hundred, yeah.
Yeah,
35, 40,
yeah. So I'm pretty excited about
That's
that.
really good.
Yeah.
Um,
Super
And
exciting.
I really have to commend everybody in the school for really, we all tightened our belts and did what we needed to do to get it done. And it was a great team
Absolutely.
effort. I really appreciate it from everybody. So that's pretty exciting. And I thought maybe for the budget hearing on Monday, I might just do a little handout explaining that because I
Absolutely.
want to make sure that gets
Yes.
through to everyone.
Yes.
Yeah,
So that's the big thing. Now, the warrant articles. And so I guess I need you guys to vote on the budget tonight, so that,
and the warrant article.
and the warrant
Yeah.
articles. Now, the warrant articles, you probably saw in my report, originally we had wanted to we were gonna have one warrant article to close that small, capital reserve fund. And then we wanted to move those monies to the expendable trust fund. But our contact at the DRA, our new advisor, says that we are not allowed to do that. We have to close the fund, transfer those monies to the municipality, so that would have to go to the town. And it would have to lapse for a period of a year before we would be able to do that. I do have a email into Matt Upton. I've not heard back from him. It's been a couple of days. My personal feeling, my personal recommendation is that we just leave it alone. We don't close the one and lose that money. And but you know, this is your call, whatever you want to do, I'm game.
And that's because the capital reserve versus an expendable.
An expendable trust,
Yep,
right?
that
And
makes
I did find the original warrant articles
Mhm.
and the capital reserve was done in 1998. And the other ones were done in 2002 and 2003 for the two,
The sped and
the sped and the
elderly
make, yeah,
maintenance,
yeah. You know, I know it's a small amount, it's $35,000, but I feel. I mean, if we want to give back to the town and close it, that's great. I think that wasn't our original intent, was
Wasn't
to
the original.
consolidate and
Yeah.
make it easier to manage, but.
We could do a warrant article next year to put it into the other one.
Yes, but it would have to come from the
Unassigned,
unassigned fund, unassigned
Because,
fund
yeah,
balance,
because that's, of the next year,
right,
where this is going into the unassigned funds from this
This
year.
year.
So, yeah,
yeah, so this would,
it
right,
would be confusing to explain all that too. at
right,
district
and who
meeting, too.
knows what the climate of the community is gonna be in a year.
And
you
we'll
know?
have a support staff contract on there too,
Right,
you know,
So we're gonna scratch Article 3.
well,
That's what you guys want to do, but
no, we'll talk about it, yeah.
I can go back years and years and years, which I have. I've gone back warrant articles back to whenever, and the monies that we put in there for the sped expendable trust, the building maintenance expendable trust, which is usually more than what we put in last year, have always passed. And there's always some support of, yeah, you guys are gonna need that money at some point in time. With the money that they even gave us last year to put in there. I think this fund that we haven't done anything with, to give the taxpayers a little bit of money back, and they're gonna give it back to us. I don't see the monies for expendable trust being a really hard thing to get, as long as we're asking for a reasonable amount of money. So I would almost rather give that back and give them just a little bit extra. Because they're gonna give it back to us in the future, ongoing. So that would be my personal preference.
So my thought process is that it's $35,000-ish. We're going to see if the HVAC can go into the ESSER funds.
Mhm.
If that doesn't get approved or whatever, the thought process was take it out of the fund. Why don't we just take it out of that fund and make it zero if it doesn't, and then close it out? And then it's done. And then you only have to come up with like $1,000-something out of the budget for the other. It's 36 for the HVAC. You know what I mean? So, which I think is reasonable enough to find in facilities, I'm sure.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And then it's clean and done. So my thought process is not to do anything with it this year, see what happens, or just don't even put it in the ESSER funds and just take it out of this fund and be done with it. You know what I mean? One of those two options.
I just had a thought that I didn't think of when you and I talked about this yesterday, because April, we're talking budget and she brought this up. So to take it out of this fund to use it in the HVAC, that would have to be a warrant article.
Has to be a warrant article then.
And if they say no, we're back to our whole discussion of no means no.
No.
So I didn't even think of that yesterday when we were talking about it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, until you just kind of, it clicked,
No means no.
which we
So
don't
then-
want that.
So then our plan for if it ESSER doesn't, and then using the fund is, we can't do that. That's what you're saying.
No, it won't be on a warrant article.
That's what I'm saying, but like, I'm just saying, like, our plan initially before we found out about this problem was that if it didn't get approved in ESSER, we were gonna just take it out of the fund and use it out of the fund. That was our backup plan to like,
Oh,
it
because we were
not
gonna
being
put it
approved in
the
ESSER.
warrant, Yeah. I mean, we just can't take it out of the fund. That would have to be a warrant article, take it out of the fund, right?
No,
No,
no, it's just.
Well,
a-
and it's under an expendable
public
trust,
hearing.
under
Of this
expendable
one.
trust, you need to have a hearing. I don't know if it's
This
different
is
for,
the capital reserve.
yeah, I don't know
Yeah,
if it's different for capital
that's what I was
reserve.
gonna say with the
Yeah, I
capital
don't
reserve.
know.
I don't know if we need a warrant article for that or not.
we can take, if ESSER doesn't work, we can take it out of the expendable trust. That's just a.
Oh, the one that we have,
The one
not
that we
this
already
one.
have.
Yes,
That just
yes,
needs
that
a
is,
hearing.
actually, that's just a hearing.
That's how I remember we talked about it.
Okay,
We would
thank you.
use the money from the expendable trust. That was the plan. And then last month it came up, hey, let's check ESSER. I mean, it's,
Okay.
me, it makes perfect sense that would be covered under that because
Yeah.
it's air quality.
Right.
So I think that was the discussion, if I recall correctly, last month was it was gonna be out of the expendable and then, hey, let's not do that in case ESSER will cover it. But then it wouldn't have to be a warrant article because the money was already put in there.
Yeah.
We asked for money last year to put into that trust for this sort of thing. So I think, I would suggest, and we're gonna need as much good faith as we can get. Everybody's struggling and stinging a little bit, especially this year with the new tax rate. I'm always a big advocate of goodwill, right? So I would have to agree with Sean that I think saying to the town at district meeting, hey, listen, we have this money we didn't need, we're giving it back to you. Is a sign of good faith that I think is probably a very smart political move at this point.
I don't think we should say we don't need it.
No, it's just.
You know what I mean? I
just-
think
No, but listen,
we're going,
you
yeah,
know me, it's all how you put the spin on it, right?
no, I'm just saying, like,
I mean, we can dance circles around making ourselves sound fabulous with that. It's not that we don't need it, it's that we're trying to do the right thing here.
Mhm.
And it's money that is not earmarked, it's money that hasn't been used. We have a town that is fiscally struggling to absorb some other increased costs, and so we have this $35,000 that could, I'm sure, be well used somewhere else.
Thank you, and thank you, yeah, I got the expendable trust and the capital one kind of mixed up.
Yep.
So
I
in my
didn't
head for a
understand how it
second,
worked, so.
And I have more
Yeah.
experience with expendable trust versus capital.
capital,
reserve
yeah,
funds.
all of
Yeah,
us
I
do,
know.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, and I tend to agree too with Julia and
Yeah,
Sean
I'm
that.
on board.
Well,
Yeah.
knowing what I know now, yeah.
Yeah.
No, it.
So you're just gonna take it out and use it, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
If we give it back, maybe they'll give us our 17,000 for furniture.
yeah, maybe, we'll see. All right, so.
Okay.
So yeah, so we don't have to change it. I mean,
Okay.
okay, yeah. So, any other questions on any of the other warrant articles? Before we just take a vote to approve them?
The one I have in front of me, is that,
I'm not sure, because I had a couple copies, but.
I had a couple.
I had two, but
Do
they
you
look
have
the
two
same,
copies? They might have been,
so.
it was
somebody
late
read
yesterday when we were collating.
Jody
it.
was so
It was a-
excited, she gave us multiple copies.
I tried to give Connor one of mine, he said no.
Myself.
I'll take it back so I don't have to make
Oh,
extra
yeah, for
copies
the-
So the
Monday
one
night.
in front of me is for the desks and chairs, so I don't have
Can
the one.
somebody read it? I don't have it, so if I could just.
Yeah, we
read
just
the
got
one.
it tonight.
Oh, sorry, yeah,
Yeah,
we could
you want me
read
to
read it to her.
I can read all of them if you want. You want to read all of them?
Absolutely, yeah.
Sure, that'd be great.
Article 1 is the operating budget. To see if the school district will vote to raise and appropriate the budget committee's recommended amount of $15,980,050 for the support of schools, for the payment of salaries for the school district officials and agents, and for the payment of the statutory obligations of the district. This article does not include appropriations contained in special or individual articles addressed separately. The budget committee recommends this appropriation by a we don't know yet. Majority required, and the school board recommends an amount of $15,980,050 by a X to X vote.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, Article 2, replace classroom furniture. To see if the school district will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $17,000 for the purpose of replacing desks and chairs in 2 classrooms. Majority vote required. Article 3, discontinue capital reserve fund. To see if the school district will vote to discontinue the school building and site improvements capital reserve fund created in 1998. Said funds with accumulated interest to date of withdrawal, are to be transferred to the municipality's general fund. And I probably ought to put the amount at a certain date,
Yeah,
which is
Yeah.
like 36,000 and change, but it's been a couple months, so I don't know. They raised
Whatever
it
the statement
today,
date.
so who knows what.
whatever the statement amount is,
Yeah.
Perfect.
So I'll add the amount. I did, I also, just so you guys know, I did ask the DRA for the pre-review of the warrant articles and the, MS 27 a couple days ago, so. Article 4, reports. Shall the Hinsdale School District receive the reports of its agents, auditors, committees, and officers? Article 5, other business, to transact any other business as may lawfully come before the meeting.
And Julia, I just texted you a picture of everything, so you would have it.
I did, yeah, thank you so much, that's very helpful, thank you. I
Okay,
know we talked about it last month, I do have a quick question on the classroom furniture, are we prepared to speak to what classrooms and why?
So I talked to Sean, sorry, and he told me the basic thought process is there's a bunch of different kinds of desks. And as things fall apart, you need a bunch of different kinds of parts. So if he's trying to get all the desks to be the same, so then maintenance of those desks are a lot easier and less expensive. So his plan is to do 2 rooms a year
Okay,
to
I
do
just think that question's gonna be asked, why 2 classrooms?
yeah.
A specific need in specific classroom, like I think we need to be prepared to speak eloquently to this plan rolling forward, that because the other thing is if we don't speak to that, then next year we're gonna have a warrant article for 17,000 and people are gonna say, wait, we just did this last year. I think we need to be transparent that this is part of a long-term goal, but to be fiscally responsible and prudent, we have made a plan moving forward to standardize in small increments to alleviate some of the tax burden, but it will be a recurring request for the next certain number of years.
So Julia, I can prepare a handout that explains both of these, the discontinuance of the capital reserve fund and the replaced classroom furniture, to have that available at the district meeting.
yeah, that sounds great.
Great, that's great. I just think we want to make sure that we are transparent, but again, with a positive spin. You know, we need more than this, but we are being very cognizant of current conditions. And so we've made a fiscally responsible plan to standardize 2 classrooms at a time over the next several years to get us to where we need to be.
I nominate you to write it out.
It's recorded.
That'll teach you.
There you go. All right, thank you very much. All right, so then we just need to vote on each article. I mean, we don't need to vote on 4 and 5, if I'm right.
Did you want to take one at a time?
Yeah, because I need the, yeah. I
Right,
think we've got
I
it.
will make a motion to approve Article 1 as presented.
Second,
Okay, any further discussion? All right, so then all those in favor of Article 1 as presented, say aye.
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 So that's all ayes, right? All right, 5-0. And this will be what goes in the book, because we're not
Yes.
gonna meet again before the budget hearing on Monday.
Correct.
All right, so I need a motion for Article 2.
I will make a motion to recommend Article 2 as presented.
second, is Judy gonna put in the?
Oh,
No.
thank you, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
No, that's
Article 2
Article
was
That's
presented.
three.
Article 3, sorry.
Oh, yeah, then I'll tell you this one, thank
I did it right.
You do,
Are you seconding, Gina?
yes.
Okay, all right, any other further discussion? All right, so then all those in favor of approving Article 2 as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Aye,
Aye.
okay, so that's 5-0. And now Article 3,
I'll make a motion to recommend Article 3 with the inclusion of the whatever, I don't know how recent you can get it, but
Yeah, I've got a,
with the amount of the fund.
yeah, so I suggest that we interject that in the second sentence. I'll say, said funds with accumulated interest to date of withdrawal, in the amount of X at such and such a date,
Yep.
Yeah.
to be transferred.
Amount of, just make sure you include the date and that amount in there, and that'll be.
Yeah,
So that is the motion.
Second,
all right, any further discussion? All right, all those in favor of Article 3, with, knowing Jody's gonna put those amounts and dates in there, amount and date in there.
Aye.
aye,
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so that's 5-0. And like I said, we don't have to vote on 4 and 5. No. Great, awesome. So for the budget hearing on Monday, that will be the warrant with 5-0 votes and so just as a reminder about that, so it's Monday upstairs in the town hall at, the notice I saw was 6:30. I had in my head 6, but the notice the budget, look at Jody's.
I thought it was 6 too.
That's what I thought, but
I
the notice
originally
that
thought
went
it
out was 6:30.
The notice is 6:30, and
Okay.
I will be in Portsmouth, unfortunately, that was a
Okay.
last minute schedule change.
Okay, I mean,
I think it's 6 because there needs to be a little bit more, there needs to be some approvals on the town side still, and.
oh, so the town is, the selectmen
Yeah.
are meeting at 6, but the budget hearing
I
6:30?
think so, yeah.
Oh, okay, maybe that's why, because I was gonna say the budget hearing's definitely noticed for 6:30.
Yeah, I think it's because there needs to be some business still conducted beforehand with the
So
budget.
since we've already voted, we don't need to do our little.
No, yeah, we don't need to do our little meeting beforehand because it's all set. I know, since this might be the first budget hearing for admins, admins generally come and are in the audience. Most of the time you're not asked any questions, but right,
Just in
isn't, yeah,
case.
just in case. I mean, that's just the expectation. I don't know who can make it, who can't. That's not in our purview, but just to let y'all know, because I know some of you, this is your first year. Chances are they'll ask Jody and the board most of the questions, but you just never do know.
Several times.
Yeah.
Over and over again.
I know, right? Somehow have lost my
It
agenda.
would also be great if, you know, let teachers know that they're
Thank you.
welcome to come.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, teachers, even if they're not, anybody can come. I think to speak, you have to be a resident, but yeah, absolutely, yeah, so I don't know if how appropriate it would be to somehow remind, you don't want to be politicking, but just remind staff that the hearing is on Monday. I know, I think they've done that in the past. And we do get a decent number of staff that turn out to it, yeah. All right, thank you all for all of your work on that. All right, staff development.
I was unable to attend the last one, right?
We reported out on it already.
Yeah,
But we have the next meeting's March 1st.
March first.
All right,
Thank you.
the legislation and HSBA, I didn't print it off because I know y'all get the email. They send out that legislative update email. They're tracking like 55 education bills right now, and Barrett and Becky are going at various points to testify. There's stuff in that email every week that if you want to send any written testimony, if anybody wants to go and testify at Senate Ed or whatnot, they would appreciate that. They would welcome it. And you can let me know if anybody has any interest and I can help you out with that because I've testified over there before. All right, HASP advisory.
We met right before this meeting. And work is started on the 21.
21C3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Grant. We are having a HASP focus group on February 13th at 3 p.m. which is a Thursday. Here, I believe, in this room. Where there'll be lots to discuss, right? I'm not all with it.
That's good.
What else did we do, Joe?
We went over the Gepler measures, which are the things that the school, the HAS program has to meet. Improvement goals in order to maintain the grants, year to year.
I know we're gonna be revisiting the MOU for the district and HASP and.
Yeah, we need a lot of different MOUs
Yeah.
between the recreation committee will be or department will be the liaison that the grant has to have as a outside source. Lauren Brissett, who has written the grant before, will be doing it. And, we'll be also doing some surveys. Very happy, actually.
All right, cool. Any questions for April or Joe? Awesome, thank you. Selectmen.
So, I made a pitch to the selectmen, different but similar to the one with you guys as far as the master plan. That was on Monday night. The water department Jack's doing a fantastic job of putting together a asset management plan for the water system. I know that doesn't matter to you guys, but it's a big deal to me. So I'm just saying that's underway. They had a public informational session on that on Saturday, which unfortunately I wasn't able to go to, but I was able to get some of the materials, and they're doing a really, really good job on that. They started going over some of their warrant articles. I would just say to April, pay attention to. I think I texted you right after the meeting because some of the stuff they're looking for some stuff. So that will add to their money versus our money. Not that it should be a competition, but anyway, and that's about it.
All right, any questions for Sean? Thank you. Sean, again, or Julia, facilities, you got your report?
Yeah, I got the report, so I'm happy to answer any questions. It was a pretty basic, straightforward meeting for the most part.
Any questions? I'm just reading about the trees. I'm just kind of
Yeah,
got sucked into reading about the trees. I
wasn't-
remember that one. They
Yeah,
wanted to keep them
so I
in.
didn't know if Joe had a chance to, did you get the message on that?
I did, but I haven't had a chance to.
So you won't, I mean, I don't have to go into detail on it if you want to talk to your staff first.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I was just,
It's
that
gonna
was
be a
just,
good thing. It will be
Oh,
a
good.
good thing.
no, I'm sure. Great. No, I just remember when that happened. Yeah,
It will be a good thing.
That's exactly-
Everybody will be happy,
everybody.
relatively certain. Most everybody will be happy.
Awesome, thank you.
There's actually a really good plan with that. I don't wanna, I want Joe to be able to
Oh,
do his thing, but
absolutely, yeah,
it should be really good.
cool. No, it just caught my eye.
Yep.
Again, so thank you. All right, community connections. We're gonna put the picture of Justin's Superman on there? No.
I think he would prefer that you not.
Aw. I think it's positive content. We aren't putting a picture of him wearing the cape. I don't know, we'll see. Depends on how April and I feel a little bit later.
I think he'd be better, more into it if you did the picture of the Invisible Man. So it's nothing.
I really don't have anything in connections to you.
We'll be making a post for HASP. Other than that, it's a focus group and whatnot, and then
Focus group.
and that they'll be applying for the grant.
Cool.
So that'll be going on once I get that information.
Well, and we should make a post about the budget hearing.
Mm-hmm.
So this weekend,
Yep.
Awesome. All right, cool. Thank you. Behavioral support.
I get so many emails. I was thinking, did I get an email saying we're scheduling a meeting? Did I get one?
I've had a hard time navigating people's schedules, so we haven't had a meeting.
Oh, no, we haven't. It's been a while and I just couldn't remember if I missed an email. But I thought I saw one, but
Okay,
nothing,
all right,
nothing yet.
okay. Joint loss?
We met on Monday. Sorry.
No, sorry.
We went over the structure of why it was there for me and new members of the group. There was a couple of issues with tiles near doorways coming up and how that was gonna be addressed. Sorry,
So
No,
when you're
no,
coming in the
okay.
doors or windows or whatever, is that, was
I
it,
think
was it at middle high school?
there's some here and there's some over and then near the new addition.
Okay.
I know that Sean got a heavy roller from Robust when they were going out of business, so he's got a plan to try to address that, re-glue and that kind of thing.
Gotcha.
There's
I think I know which tiles you're talking about.
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, nothing major that jumped out at me as far as like incidents.
Okay, great, thank you. All right, citizen comments. I think Donna's still on.
Comment, do you have any comments?
I'm all set, thank you.
Thank you.
Great, thanks, Donna. All right, then just need a motion to go into non-public.
Motion made.
Second.
Everybody's second. Roll call?
Yes.
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 Yes, great, thank you, everybody, I think we just need the board, Kim and Jody.
I'm just gonna make a pad
And,
here.
yeah.
Thank you, Connor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Connor.